Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to our installment of Bhagavad-Gita as it is, given by His Grace Manonatha Maharaj. And today we're speaking on chapter 12, I believe. And yeah, I just want to say that it feels like it's really, all these weeks and everything have really gone by really, really fast, because this is, I think, like 14 weeks now, like 14 or 15 weeks now where we've been meeting together. I hope that we get to continue meeting together and hearing for many more weeks to come. So with that, I'll go ahead and pass it over.
Hare Krishna. So I think that sometimes it's easier, at least. Let me start. Okay, the recording is progress. Sometimes it's easier to find pleasure, enthusiasm in speaking than to listening. I find that sometimes people have difficulties in listening. Maybe because speaking is something more proactive. You know, we need a psychologist to understand how it works. But I am very, very happy and glad that at least the small groups that is coming, you know, all of you basically are coming steadily, makes me really happy. So today we're going to study the chapter number 12. And yes, so we are going to first of all to start by offering obeisances, because we are not philosophers, we are devotees. So we need to thank those who gave us and are still giving us all this knowledge, at least by offering some nice words. These nice words are called Mangala Charana, and I'm going to say it first in Sanskrit and then the translation in English. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militan Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Ragunatam Vikantam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parichana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Tancham He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadada Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada was established within this material world, the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya gave me shelter under his lotus feet. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, and unto the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Srila Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatana Goswami, as well as Raghunatha Dasa, Raghunatha Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadadhar, Srivasa, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like golden molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen souls. I offer my obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya, Sri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivasa, and all others in the line of devotion. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, chapter 12, and this chapter is a short chapter, actually, only 20 shlokas. So, probably, if I remember correctly, it's the shortest of all chapters of the Bhagavad-Gita. That doesn't mean that it's in any way less important than any other. And so we are going to find quite a few important, nice, clear, and deep verses in this chapter. But since they are few, we had the opportunity to take them one by one and give them at least some explanation, some hopefully some more satisfactory explanation, just a little more time, giving to each of them. So you may remember that at the beginning we started into giving a resume of the chapter, and then I will choose what part would be important. But now I'm changing the way, strategy, but especially chapter 12, we are going to take verse by verse. And so please keep your answers, your questions, and I will give my answer to you, to your nice questions. Questions are very important. A class without a question is not a good class. Sometimes I ask myself why people does not have questions. And I think maybe they understood everything, so there is no need of questions. Or maybe they didn't understand anything. So I was bad. So I wasn't able to make everyone understanding something because it's impossible not to have questions. At the same time, we can use the same way of judgment. When we have many questions means maybe I wasn't clear, so they didn't understand that they're trying to understand. And also, if they have many questions, means they have understood philosophy. Because when you understand philosophy, it's not possible that you don't have questions. I have questions. I have been studying this philosophy, 48 years, every day. I don't remember one day that I didn't read or do practice. And I still have questions because Krishna is no limit. So knowledge is also limitless. So anyway, I just wanted to do some introduction on these topics. So first shloka, Arjuna is making a question, speaking about questions. Which are considered to be more perfect? Those who are always properly engaged in your devotional service, or those who worship in personal Brahman, the unmanifested? The answer may seem obvious because we have been studying the Bhagavad-Gita now for a few weeks. So we know that Krishna prefer devotional service and not deliberation. But this question is deeper. Actually, Arjuna was meaning also something else. Because those who worship in personal Brahman, they manifest some qualities that sometimes the devotee apparently do not show. For instance, if you go up on the mountain in the Himalaya, you see yogis, they don't talk to anybody. If you put questions to them, they don't answer. If you give them something, they don't accept anything. I remember one time giving one devotee, one friend of mine, who gave a wooden chadar. It was winter time. In Vrindavan, winter is cold. We are north of India, so it's cold. So he was just laying on the ground, and he gave him a woolen chadar. So nothing but to accept it. But he took the chadar, he threw it to him. So it was meaning, don't give me sense gratification. I am a renunciant. I don't want any of this thing. So this is the, so whether it was an impersonalist or personalist, we don't know. It was in Vrindavan, so maybe I would assume it was a devotee. But anyway, this is the mood of those who worship impersonal Brahman. They do very, very serious austerity. And sometimes the devotee, they not. You come to our temple, you see all this prasadam, we dance and we smile, and we have a very nice clothes, and we are clean, and there is no beard. Well, some are beard, but not generally the devotees that don't have beard, etc. So so it doesn't look like we are very much renouncing, and we are living in homes, and we have cars, and we study, we have so many books, we have computers, and we have internet, So Arjuna was actually asking Krishna, who is more advanced? Those who really renounce to the material world and they show renunciation, or those who accept things for Krishna, and sometimes there's excuse it's an excuse. Yes, I said this for Krishna, actually, it's for us, or at least it's partly for us and partly for Krishna. So Krishna said, those who fix their minds on my personal form and are always engaged in worshiping me with greater transcendental faith are considered by me to be most perfect. So Krishna immediately say, it doesn't really matter, you keep worshiping me, and then this is the most important thing. Renunciation is very important also. We should be renounced. We should not take from Maya, from the material world, more that we actually need, we really need. We should be very simple and austere, But if you engage yourself in worshiping me and deities and temples, etc., they are very perfect. It doesn't say the most perfect. It says most perfect. Why? Because Krishna says, continue the answer, but those who fully worship the unmanifested, that which lies beyond the perception of the senses, the all-pervading, inconceivable, unchanging, fixed, and immovable, the impersonal conception of the absolute truth, by controlling the various senses and being equally disposed to everyone, such person engaged in the welfare of all, at last achieve me. In other words, Krishna does not condemn the whole process of yogic renunciation and austerities, but he says that worshiping me is more important. If I had to choose between worshiping Krishna, which means chanting Hare Krishna and do puja at home, going to the temple, studying, and etc., and just meditating on some light, transcendental light, then the first is better. But we should learn to be austere. We should learn that you should not play with fire with Maya. Maya is very tricky. It says no, you are okay, you can have a very nice house and everything. You can go to cinema and all these things. After all, when you come back from the cinema, you do a puja to me, etc., which is okay. Krishna says, if you worship me, it's okay. But we should not forget that we should facilitate the renunciation from this material world, because material world and spiritual world cannot stay in the same place, cannot stay in the same mind. In mind, we should have the spiritual world. So if we want to have the spiritual world in our mind, we should eject the material world and everything illusory present in this material world. So if you are a Mayavadi, an impersonalist, and you do a lot of austerities, etc., you don't worship me, this is not good. But if you do this, at last you achieve me. It's not going to be easy. The devotional process is better. But the other one is longer, but at the end you can achieve Krishna. And Krishna explains in the third verse, and he says, for those whose minds are attached to the unmanifested, impersonal feature of the Supreme, advancement is very troublesome. It's not easy. It's very difficult. To make progress in that discipline is always difficult for those who are embodied. Why is it so difficult? Because it's unnatural. It's unnatural. We are not accustomed mentally to worship something that is not personal. We make a big effort to try to imagine a spiritual life with somebody who is not a person. like all the religion of the world. They have God, they have Jesus, they have Buddha, they have Allah, they have somebody with a name, and more or less it's a form, you know. So, and actually in the world, the philosophy should say, no, God is not a person, it's just a philosophy, but you don't find an organized religion, you know, teaching how to meditate to the impersonal Brahman. So the impersonal feature of the Supreme, those who are attached to this, is why somebody would prefer to worship an impersonal and a personal, because they are envious. Because they are envious. Who doesn't want to come to a temple? Those who are envious of the devotees. Who doesn't want to come to my home and say, no, I don't want to go to Manonatha Prabhu's home? Why? Because he's envious. He doesn't like me. If he comes here, he will be, you know, he will feel uneasy. So he he prefers not to come. But if he has to say that he is my friend, he will say, no, I am his friend, but I don't go. So why? Because he wants to be seen as a friend, but he doesn't want to come because enviousness, because envy. Envy is the reason why we don't want to go in the spiritual world. Even if the spiritual world is a very nice place. Because who wants to go in a very nice place and feeling unhappy to be there? Because not only you are unhappy because you are envious, but also you understand that it's so nice. So Krishna is so nice, and so powerful. He creates a nice place. So he adds envy to envy, you know. And for those who are envious, it's very bad to go to a person and realize that this person is rich, has got a nice wife, and he's got a nice children, he has money, he's successful, etc. It's just very, very painful. So atheists and Mayavadis and impersonalists, they don't want to go to the spiritual world because they are envious. Those who worship me and giving up all their activities unto me, have been devoted to me without deviation, engaged in devotional service, always meditating upon me, having fixed their mind upon me, O son of Prita. For them, I am the swift deliverer from the ocean of birth and death. So again, talking about envy, just a second, I had to go 1 second. Just a moment, I'll be back. Sorry, Ishwar is back. She was making some noise, so I needed to close the door. So, but just try to put yourself in the shoes of those who are envious of God. This verse is hellish. Not only should I go back to in the spiritual world, but always I had to think of him. I don't like him. I don't like God. And fix my mind upon him, meditating upon me. No, forget it. I'm not going to do it. You know, I can give 1,000 of reasons why not being a devotee, but I prefer to be in the ocean of birth and death than being a devotee. This is the mentality of atheists. The atheists are envious of God. Just fix your mind upon me, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and and engage all your intelligence in me. Thus you will live in me always without a doubt. So sometimes the word mind is used. Engage your mind in me. And sometimes the word buddhi or intelligence is used. Why this difference? The difference is the mind is passive and intelligence is active. Intelligence means to understand proactively, and you study the philosophy because you want to understand. So you read, you put questions, you go to conferences, etc. Mind is just accepting. I don't need to understand much, just the bare necessity. I don't need to, I just chant Hare Krishna, and for me that's enough. That's how to engage your mind. Intelligence means I want to understand, so that my meditation, my mind can be facilitated in meditating in Krishna. If you engage your intelligence and mind, Krishna here says all intelligence, buddhi. But if you engage intelligence and mind, are the two different things. Then Krishna says, you will live in me always, without a doubt. Krishna says, don't worry. Don't worry. People, I remember when Srila Prabhupada was spiritual master, received in a dream. Actually, he was asked by his god brothers, you should take sannyas. And he also, in a dream, he dreamt of his spiritual master, asking him, you should take sannyas. He was worried. Who is going to cook for me? Who is going to care for me? Here, Krishna said, don't worry. Masuchaha, don't worry. I will take care of you because I love my devotees. So if you think that I don't exist, then you are an atheist. Then you have reason to worry because I become a monk. Who is going to take care of me? Now I have a wife, I have children, I have society, I have my health insurance. But if I take sannyas, I go to Vrindavan and go from Nandagram to Barchana, from Barchana to Govardhan, from Govardhan to Vrindavan, from Vrindavan to Mahavan, etc. And just walking on the street and eating when somebody, how am I going to? Nobody's going to take care of me. But if you believe that Krishna is Christ, he is going to take care of you. Don't worry. If you cannot fix your mind upon me without deviation, then follow the regulative principle of Bhakti Yoga. Here, Krishna is starting to enter into the reality of his devotees. Not all the devotees are ready to give everything up and just go to Vrindavan and renounce everything, or even have this mentality, even living in Texas and having the mentality of renunciation. He says that probably not many devotees have this mentality. So let's see. Now I'm going to speak for those who cannot go to the highest plane. If you cannot fix your mind with me without deviation, then you see how our philosophy is so wonderful. Our philosophy is not cruel. Our philosophy is not black and white. Our philosophy is not, there are two types of people, devotees and demons. So our philosophy is welcoming everybody without any differentiation, without any. If you cannot do this, then you do that. And what Krishna is saying, if you cannot be a pure devotee, just thinking of me and doing nothing else than thinking of me, then follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And what does it mean? Concretely, that's an English word, concretely, concretamente, no? Concretely. What it means concretely. What is this regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga? That's what we are doing. We are trying to follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. What Krishna has said until now is a higher plan of devotion. It was a pure devotion. And somebody says, why Krishna is telling me something that is discouraging me? I cannot do this. Why is telling me something that I cannot do? You know? Well, if he doesn't say it, we will think that it's nothing else than this. We think that we can be an almost devotees, that we can be a mixed devotees. But a teacher is someone who tells this is the highest. And then he goes down and say, okay, you cannot do it. I know you cannot do it, but I do tell you, because you have to know that it is the highest. And then he goes down and say, okay, you cannot meditate on me 24 hours a day, okay? So follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. And our movement, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, it is based on regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. We have principles, we have many, many principles. Some of them are primary, some of them are secondary. And for instance, if you want to be initiated, you cannot eat any meat, you cannot take any form of intoxication, no coffee, no alcohol, no drugs, any of these things, and the sex only in marriages, and then you cannot gamble. You cannot gamble. Then you have to keep your mind peaceful, because you are always thinking you say that in English. I think I should open the Google Translate better. Or sometimes I have problems. Your soccer team, if you worry about who is going to win, if Philadelphia is going to win, or New York is going to win, or Atlanta is going to win, this disturbs your mind. This is gamble. This is the fourth regulative principle. You should not engage in gamble, which means who is going to win and who is going to lose. Just like poker, who is going to win, who is going to lose. That's not good for spiritual life. So, and if you follow the regulative principles, and then we chant Hare Krishna, and chanting Hare Krishna is the utmost importance. And if we chant Hare Krishna every day without missing one day, and we follow the four regulative principles, and we study every day without missing one day, reading at least a page, if not 2 or 10 or 50 or whatever. And when you go to work, you think about philosophy, you try to put your mind in the devotees and devotional service. In this way, Krishna says, you will develop a desire to attain me. The other one, the verse before, was for those who had already attained Krishna. Just engage your intelligence in me 24 hours a day. And then Krishna says, well, if you cannot do it, do this. Follow the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. We can see in our movement, we have people coming to the temple and not following all the principles. We know that. Sometimes even our initiated devotees, they don't follow the principles, although they are supposed to. But we know that. We are not fools, so we know that when you give initiation to somebody, it's not going to follow always. It's going to have some fall down, because we had it when Srila Prabhupada initiated us. We promised, and then sometimes we didn't keep our vows. So, so you develop and decide. Here, Krishna is using this nice word. Develop means you go from here to there to better and better. So those who have the philosophy, perfection or nothing, because I am a perfectionist. Some devotee tell me, no, because I am a perfectionist. That's an excuse, you know. That's an excuse, because perfection possible to we know that you are not perfect. We know that, and if you wait to be perfect, you'll never become a devotee. So devotional service is for those who are not perfect. Okay, so in this way, by following the regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga, again, going to the temple, chanting Hare Krishna, taking prasada, follow the four regulative principles, studying the philosophy, etc., worshiping a deity at home, offering your food on the deities, etc., then you will develop and decide to attain me. If you cannot practice the regulation of Bhakti Yoga, Krishna is saying, okay, if you cannot do even that, and we know many of us who cannot follow even the regulations of Bhakti Yoga, then just try to work for me. What does it mean, work for me? There are people who come to the temple and say, look, I like coming to the temple, but I like this. I'm not going to give it up, all right? But I want to be a devotee. So how do I do? And I tell them, okay, do this devotional service. And then Krishna is saying here, just try to work for me. Coming to the temple is already working for me. But if you take up a devotional service, this is what Krishna means. Do something for me. Because by working for me, you will come to the perfect stage. So Krishna has spoken until now 3 stages. The perfect stage, the perfectional stage, and the neophyte stage. That you cannot do anything of direct spiritual, but you want it. You have a sincere desire to become a devotee, then you should do some devotional service. You should do something. If, however, you are unable to work in this consciousness of me, then try to act, giving up the results of your work and try to be self-situated. You say, no, I cannot do any devotional service. Okay, I cannot come to the temple and cook for the Sunday feast. Okay, I cannot edit Manonatha, just kidding, or any other devotional service. So what do I do? It's not that I don't want, and maybe I don't know. I don't like it. I don't want to work. Then Krishna says, okay, then continue working in material consciousness and give something. Give some money. I'll give some time. Maybe I will call you and say, look, you are a lawyer. Can you tell me what you think about this? And you say, okay, I will give up some time of Krishna. Everyone should give some donation in money to the temple. Every time you go, in India it's normal. You see, there is no one who doesn't who goes to a temple. It doesn't leave 1 rupee in the box. Then you go to the temple and always bring something: a flower, a bottle of water, some apples, some fruit, anything. Don't never go with your hands empty. Then you give up the results of your work. This is what Krishna says. If you cannot take even this practice, in other words, you are so miser that you don't want to give part of your money to Krishna consciousness, to the guru, to the devotees, then study. Who doesn't like to study? Someone will say, well, if he doesn't want to be a devotee, why he should study our philosophy? Because our philosophy is being written also for non-devotees. The Vedas, the Puranas, the Nyaya, the Vaisheshika, the Yoga, all these art philosophies that people in India, especially, they study in universities. A university who doesn't study Nyaya Sutra is not a university, it's a place for donkeys. Nyaya is the base of reasoning. If you don't know, Nyaya is a science to teach you how to think. What is the parameters of reaching knowledge? And there was a book that I had, so the Nyaya Sutra of Gautama Rishi, always had the desire to write it. Anyway, let's see how many years I have left in my life. So better, and the cultivation of knowledge, you study Vedic philosophy. If you don't want to study the philosophy, then do some meditation. Meditation means, there are people who go to the gym for working out. Then you can do some yoga. But better than meditation, renunciation to the fruit, to the fruit of action, because it's a renunciation, and Krishna goes back and say, okay, you can do so many things, but you should give something to Krishna. That's very important. Which means money, which means time, which means intelligence, which means anything that you have. Okay, you should give something to Krishna. One who is not envious, Krishna now is coming to the word Matsara, which means be envious, but is a kind friend of a living entity who does not think in himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-controlled, and engaged in devotional service with determination. His mind and intelligence are fixed on me. Such a devotee of mine is very dear to me. Someone who is so intelligent to do this lifestyle of trusting Krishna, then is free from all anxiety, because he knows Krishna will always take care of me. And Krishna here is making a link, a very long list of qualities of how you can recognize someone who is advanced in spiritual life. It's not envious. What is the best way of not being envious? Well, preach Krishna consciousness, because if you speak about Krishna and not about yourself, that means you're not envious, okay? Or your spiritual master. Yes, you repeat what your spiritual master says. You don't say, I say this, but my spiritual master say that. Or Bhagavad-Gita, this is not being non-envious. Kind friend to live in end. What it means to be friend? Just embrace people in the street. What kind of friendship is that? Friend is someone who helps you with your problems. That's a friend, okay? So if you embrace a person, but you don't help him to solve his problem, that you are not a friend, you are just a sentimentalist. So what is the most important problem is death and rebirth. You should help people by giving that Krishna consciousness. This is the best friendship. Someone who doesn't think that this is mine, and he doesn't think when he speaks, especially about philosophy, very rarely says I, but he always say Krishna, or Guru, or other devotees. This is the symptom of someone who is free from false ego. Ego means I. So someone who is egocentric, that is life, what he says, what he thinks, I am the center. So if someone moves from the center and puts Krishna and Guru at the center of his life, this is the symptom of someone who is free from false ego, which is equal in both happiness and distress. I have bad news for you. It doesn't matter how much money you have, how much youth you have, how much beauty you have, how much health you are going to get in trouble in this life. Okay, that's not a possibility. That's a certainty, 100%. May not be today, maybe tomorrow. Okay, I don't think. Why should I think today for the trouble of tomorrow? Bet you get ready because it's gonna come, and so you should learn that there is a spiritual world. That this life is just a short segment. The word segment is English. Segment, okay, a part of a line, okay. It's just a sort of segment of an endless line, which is the eternity of our time that we have at our disposal as an eternal spirit. So this life is just a very, very short segment of time. And so someone who is ignorant of this reality, it gives a lot of importance to this life. And he says, I have to do this now, I have to do this. Why something happened to me now in this life, my life? I am woman, I am a man, I am American, I am European, you're nothing. This is just a very, very short segment of time. So think large, think big, think that you are part of an eternal time, eternal life. So this short segment of time should be utilized for the greater interest of your eternal life. So this life, you may be fortunate and be rich, beautiful, etc., and or maybe not. Some of us, it's not beautiful, it's not rich, it's not poor, and health is bad, etc., etc. Some of us, it's beautiful. We are born in America, so we are lucky. And some people is not born in America, so it's born in some God-forsaken place in Africa, some having nothing in his life and not even to eat. So, but we should not think, okay, I'm lucky. You're not lucky. Maybe next life you will go there and he will come here. So it's just a very short time. You should not rejoice for something good happen in your life because it will finish. And so for you, happiness and distress should be the same, because any happiness means distress is coming. And any distress, don't worry, happiness is coming. Who is tolerant? Tolerant means who cares? You criticize me, who cares? Or you don't give me money, okay, what can I do? I do my part. If I cannot get what I will. If Krishna wants. If Krishna doesn't want, why should I want it? Why should I want something that Krishna is not giving me? And Krishna is not giving me because I don't deserve it, or better, he doesn't want it. He doesn't want it because he has something better for you. Okay, but you cannot. It's not the right time for you to know. And always satisfied. The devotee is always satisfied, even in the very difficult situations, because it takes happiness from inside. He chants his rounds and he's happy. He thinks about philosophy, he's happy. He thinks about Krishna's pastimes, he's happy. He thinks about Vrindavan and he's happy. He meditates about taking bath in the Yamuna and he's so happy, he's ecstatic. So there is nothing external that can give you suffering or joy. Everything external is just nothing. It's just an illusion, Maya. Something, Maya. Ma means not. Yeah, this. This does not exist. So the devotee is always satisfied because he takes satisfaction from inside. Self-controlled. Self-controlled means there is nothing except Krishna, the devotional service, who makes him angry. He's not angry because you don't give him sense gratification. He doesn't really care. But if you insult Krishna, he's going to get angry, like Hanuman or Arjuna Kurukshetra. Arjuna was not, when fighting, he was not smiling. He was very angry. And Sanjaya was giving very clear description of Arjuna's face while he was fighting. He was not smiling and laughing. He was very angry. So anger is okay if dovetail in Krishna consciousness and engage in devotional service with determination, mind, intelligence fixed on me. He by whom no one is put into difficulty, who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equiposed in happiness, distress, fear, anxiety is very dear to me. Krishna is repeating the same concept we have already explained. There is no difficulty for the devotee. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities. You see, Krishna is making this point over and over, again and again, that nothing in this material world really matters for an advanced devotee. And this devotee is pure. Okay, what it means purity? How can you distinguish a person who is pure or impure? Or more importantly, how can you distinguish something, activities or thought or words that are pure and who is not pure? This is not difficult at all to recognize, because Shastra and Guru give us very, very precise description of what is pure and what is not pure. For instance, this class, I may not be pure, but this class is pure. Why is pure? Because it speaks about Krishna. It is perfect. What I said is perfect. Maybe not, but doesn't matter, because Krishna says, you don't worry about the result. You give your heart to me, and then you will be in a perfect situation. So my class can also not be pure, but the class is pure. So purity means that you understand the difference between devotional service and not devotional service. You do that, and whatever you do is pure. Of course, pure means following the rules and regulations that we have. Of course, you cannot say, oh no, I smoke my cigarette, and I sing to Krishna, so it's pure. It's not pure. Because gurus say, don't smoke. Don't drink alcohol. Alcohol is prohibited, okay? Don't drink coffee, caffeine. This is not good. No drugs of any kind. There is no light drugs and heavy drugs. Of course, there are light and strong. So that means that light drugs are lightly impure, and the other one is, but they're all impure. No drugs whatsoever. Vaishnava doesn't take any type of intoxication. It's clean, it's pure, okay? When we speak, our words, today I was in some office for my Texas driver license, and I was seated side by side with a young girl, and she was, I don't know many of bad English bad words, because I don't, but some of them I know. And she was swearing. She couldn't say two phrases without putting a word like that. So I remember someone tell me, it's just a sound. What's the difference if I say this word or the other word? There are two sounds. No, because a sound is charged with a certain attitude or mentality, okay? So if the meaning of the word is bad, that word becomes bad. If I say something that is surcharged with positive meaning, then this word is good because it's surcharged, so it becomes a good word. So those who say sounds, it's one word, the other one, who cares? This is not good. There are pure words and impure words. So we should never swear, never say bad words. We should always be gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen in the way we speak. and behave, of course. Expert, how you become expert? Studying. By study, you become expert, and practicing. You say that practice makes perfection. This is correct? Yes. So the more you chant and you study and you practice being a gentlemanly Vaishnava, and the more you become a gentlemanly Vaishnava or gentle woman Vaishnava, because you practice. You know, you cannot say, I know that I shouldn't do this, but but now I'm going to behave in this way, but I know it. That's enough. Like those who say, Jesus is in my heart. Doesn't matter what I do, because Jesus remains in my heart. This is the utmost hypocrisy. If Jesus in your heart, you should behave like Jesus. If you don't behave like Jesus, you're not a Christian. You are just an hypocritical. So being expert comes from practice. Without cares, don't worry. Krishna will take care. Which doesn't mean that we should all become. I have a family, like some of us as family, then, in the class today, he said, Krishna is taking care of me, so tomorrow I will not go to work. This is not what we mean. We mean that you should go to work, and you should be utmost, and you should be honest and try to earn the money that you do. But in the case something happens that you cannot control, if you can control it, you should control it. But if you cannot control it, it's out of your hand, then don't worry. Krishna will protect you. Krishna will help you. So our philosophy is not the philosophy of laziness, that I shouldn't go to work because Krishna is going to take care of me. This is not our work. And you know how Krishna protecting us? By giving us the intelligence to do it ourselves. And then, if that is not enough, then he will intervene. But first of all, he will give you the capacity to maintain yourself. Okay? This is very important, because I don't want anybody tomorrow to go to work and say, no, I don't need to work. Krishna will send me the check. At the end of the month, he will not. Okay, free from all pains, don't worry. Everything, there is no victims, like some people, even devotees, sometimes, oh, poor man, poor boy, he died, or he is very sick, and it's so painful, etc. There is no victim in this world. This is very important. This is very important. Just like the story of the sons of Shantanu and Ganga. I don't know how many of you know the story. It's a little long, we don't have time. But everybody was crying because Ganga was throwing her sons, her 7 sons, 7, no 1, 7, in the river, the Ganga, drowning them, killing 7 of her sons, newborn. And everyone was crying because they were ignorant who they were in the past lives. They did some offense, and they were cursed to come in this world, and they said, okay, we accept this curse, but please, we want to stay just hours in that world. We want to come back, because in the Deva world, it's better. We don't want to stay there. So if everybody knew that these people were these 7 newly born, were 7 devas who wanted to go back to their home, then everyone would say, oh, okay, if you knew that this child who died innocently, everybody saw, maybe it's Hitler who took birth again. And how do you know who is? Maybe it's Saddam Hussein, maybe it's a big asura, it's a Rakshasa who took, and he had to suffer for some time. If you knew that, then we'll be very happy that this child died. So we should be very wise in this world, living in this world. which doesn't mean that we don't care about other people suffering. Okay, we do care. And if we can do something, we do it. But if we cannot do anything, so what's the point of crying, feeling bad if you cannot do anything? So be pragmatic, wisely pragmatic in this life. And not striving for some result, just striving result for Krishna. Okay, you go to work, you strive for your family, but your family is a family devotee, then it is okay. But if you are just making money to enjoy your life, then you're wasting your time, you're wasting your human form of life. Those people who think in this way is very dear to me. So one who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, who renounces both auspicious and unauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me. In this verse, it's only 3 verses missing to finish the chapter. So it's basically repeating what we already explained, and that we should not rejoice for ourselves, because that any joy is just a question of time and will come suffering. So we should be equipoised. We should learn how to be steady in our mental attitude or mental disposition. Okay, because going from a great joy to a great suffering is not good. Who wants to go from high to down? Better to stay always in the middle. One is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminated association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who doesn't care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge, and who is engaged in devotional service. Such a person is very dear to me. This verse is very nice. There's a lot to say, many things we already explained, There is one thing that I like to explain, which means silent. For someone who has spoken for 1 hour and 2 minutes, it's it's not really easy to say that we should be silent. Muni means we're taking the vows of silence. But Muni means someone who only speaks about Krishna. That's silence. If he has not the opportunity to talk about Krishna, he keeps mum. He gives a class, or he speaks, finished, everybody goes, you don't hear a word from him. Why? Because he doesn't want to talk nonsense. He wants to only talk about things that matters to himself and others. And let's see. We are going to talk about doesn't care about residence, free from contamination, association. We've spoken about this. But we're going to come back to these topics. So I want to close because I want at least half hour of questions. Start preparing yourselves. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. Okay, so faith. What means faith? So why, if we just had to faith in Krishna, why Krishna is talking so much? Why is giving so much philosophy if we just need faith? So in this case, faith doesn't mean blind faith. That means that he is trying to teach you so you can understand. But most probably, surely, we are not going to understand everything. So So about the body of knowledge that we are going to study, a part you are going to understand it, a part almost, another part you are not going to understand. So what happens? If you understand, that understanding will be enough for you to accept that you cannot understand. If you don't understand anything, then you are going to reject everything, because it says, why should I believe you? Why should I believe Krishna? Why should I believe Guru? You know. But if you understand something, that something will give you the strength to accept what you still have not understood. And with time, I assure you, you are going to understand more and more and more and more. When I say understand, includes also realize, because understanding and realization go side by side. Okay? So this is faith, not blind faith, no, reasonable faith. The reasonable faith is a faith caused by something, caused by partial understanding, while the blind faith is something that you accept because, I don't know, I accept it because I want to accept it, you know, and no reason to accept it, that I will accept it. And Srila Prabhupada always said, I don't want an army of yes men. I want devotees, disciples who can think. I don't want yes men. And we don't want yes men. We want people to understand. There was one devotee one time, he was a temple priest, he said, I am afraid of intelligent people because, well, I took it in this way, because intelligent, then your position is in danger. Okay? And I said, I am more afraid of stupid people, because you don't do anything with stupid people, because they are stupid. While intelligent people, you can utilize them, you can use them. And if they are more intelligent than you, okay, let them go, let them do. What you should do, if there is somebody who can do better than you, you should not be attached to your service, to your position, to your thing. If someone is better than you, let it do. Because this is for Krishna, it's not for me or you or any of us. So we want intelligent people. We want people that understand. We also want people who make questions. People who have doubts. What's wrong with doubts? There is sometimes, you know, when you are devotee so long, you have listened everything. No, it's difficult that I don't get question that I never listened. There is one question that one time there was one devotee who came to me and he said, you know, I have doubts, but I'm so afraid that you or other devotees think bad of me because I don't, because I should accept what you said. You know, the truth is that you are entitled to doubts. Okay, at least always, but especially before initiation. After initiation, you can still have doubts, okay? But you should be careful how you present these doubts to the Guru. You should be very careful on not offending the spiritual master. So I think that's it. That's the today's 12th chapter. I got a lot of things more to say, but I think I will stop here. 1 hour and 9 minutes. So we have some 20 minutes of question and answers. Bhatayandi, Haribol.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Haribol.
So my question is, when it comes to understanding, are we are we sort of like given the understanding? So there's like the endeavoring to understand, but Krishna, the way I'm like picturing it is Krishna like gives us the ability to understand. So I guess like an example, if I wanted to learn, um, if I want to learn about something, I first have to go and read, like you're saying, like I have to read and then study it. But while I'm reading it, I'm not exactly understanding it until Krishna gives me that sort of understanding. Is that how do we understand understanding?
Not really. I will, if I find this very nice verse, and then I will read it to you. If I don't find it, I will just explain it. And I should have it here. Okay. Knowledge is not something that comes from outside. Okay. We are made of knowledge. Sat, Chit, Ananda. The spirit soul is made of eternity, is made of knowledge, means it knows, and is made of happiness. That's the main three qualities with which the living soul is made. So knowledge is already there. So why we don't know? Why we don't, we don't understand? Because of Maya. Maya is covering us with this illusion, making us making us to think that we are the material bodies, while we are not. And because of Maya, the natural quality of the soul, which is knowledge, doesn't come out. So then we need to study. We need to study a lot. So, what Krishna, the Guru, and the devotees do is telling you something that you already know, but you have forgotten. So how do you really understand something? Because just hearing something is not enough. You are going to hear something and tomorrow you have forgotten everything, and because we forget. So that's the difference between jnana and pragyana. Jnana means knowledge and pragyana means realized knowledge. Jnana means you say something because you have read it or you are listening, and you repeat it because you remember that you have listened to this concept and you speak it out. But then if somebody will ask you something that you never heard or you have completely forgotten, then how you're going to answer? You're going to answer only if you have pragyana, that you don't need to remember a concept to say it, because this knowledge will come from your heart, okay, naturally. So when we say Krishna will give you knowledge, what does it mean? Krishna will give you the purity, will help you, will give you the blessings, will give you the tools by which you can understand understand jnana or realize a big jnana what you have heard. Krishna will give you the blessing. Can Krishna give you also the knowledge? Yes, but you already have it. It's natural on you. Krishna can give you, the Guru can give you something, but one day you realize that whatever you have listened, and there is a very, very nice verse in the Srimad Bhagavad-Gita stating this, one day you will realize that everything you have been studied, it was something natural for you. That if you are really pure, you didn't even need to study it. The pure devotee study for pleasure, not for knowledge, because the pure devotee, they already know. But studying is a pleasure because it's an eternal activity in the spiritual world. In the spiritual world, people study, okay? And so this is how it works. Knowledge is natural in your heart, and Krishna in Guru helps you to take it out from you through purification, purifying your heart and your mind. Slowly but slowly, you will understand all this better, and one day someone will ask you something that you never heard, and you will be able to answer. Okay, some other questions? Bhakti Rosaline, and after Bhakti Rosario.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
At the beginning of the chapter, when Krishna refers to the Mayavadi practices, and he says that you will still achieve me, but this is a very difficult way to achieve me. But then later in the chapter, when he says, well, if you can't do this, you can do that. And, you know, he comes to a point where he's describing some characteristics that are often looked for by people who are practicing this type of Mayavadi practices, this equanimity. And so is this really more difficult or really an easier way to achieve Krishna consciousness?
Well, actually, there is only one way to achieve Krishna consciousness. Although you study in the Vedas that there are so many paths or yogas, and there is this yoga, the other yoga, etc., etc. But actually, there is only one way. How can you come in my home? In one way only. That I let you in. That's my house. That's my house. How can you get in? You can get in by, you know, breaking down the door, but this is not coming. This is something else. There's only one way. So there is only one way that we can go back to Krishna, that he likes that we go back to him. And there is only one thing that Krishna likes, that is love, prema. So devotional service is the only path for going back to Krishna. There is no second, because you cannot force yourself into the spiritual world. You cannot say to Krishna, Krishna, I was a big yogi, and I did so many austerities, and I did this, and I did that. Even if I was chanting Hare Krishna for 100 years, now you must let me in. You cannot say that. You cannot say that, because Krishna says, no, wait a second, hold on. You know, you didn't chant Hare Krishna because I like it, that you chant Hare Krishna. You chant Hare Krishna because you needed to chant Hare Krishna. Because by chanting Hare Krishna, you get purified and you develop love. Love is what I want. And everything else is a tool to achieving love. So, so then why Krishna is explaining so many different paths? Because those paths will purify you so that you get to devotional service. Okay, so getting to devotional service is compulsory. You cannot get it directly in any other way, but you can get it through different ways to devotional service. Okay, unless you say, no, I don't want the supreme personality of Godhead, I want to go to Shiva Loka, I want to go to Brahma Loka, I want to go to Deva Loka, or I want to go even in Vaikuntha. Okay, in Vaikuntha you can go without prema. Okay, but yeah, then I don't care about going to Goloka Vrindavan or this. That is a different thing. But if you want to go to Krishna Loka, then you need to, you need Bhakti Yoga. Then you need to do devotional service to the Supreme Lord, so you can actually develop love. So again, so many paths, but they all arrive to Bhakti, to love.
Okay, thank you.
Bhakti Rosario?
Hare Krishna, Guru Maharaj. Please accept my
Haribo.
obeisances.
Hare Krishna.
Guru Maharaj, you were mentioning that there is no point of crying or suffering. But I'm thinking about 10 days ago, my friend's daughter took her life, and we have been suffering a lot. And it's not because we are choosing to suffer. Even though I know that we are not this body, just thinking about the pain that my friend has been suffering it breaks my heart. So what do you recommend me? Because in order to keep myself in the balance, I cannot even talk with my friend. We have been communicating through messages, because every time that we have attempted to talk, we just cry and cry and cry. It was her only daughter, and I don't know. I feel that what I have been learning is not helping me to find comfort and to help her.
Well, it's you should not practice for material reasons, because it will not give you material results. It will give you spiritual results. So if we have like, I want to be devoted because I don't want to suffer, it may help you, but if you want to keep your material consciousness, then it will not help you enough. I will try to explain myself a little better.
Please.
Emotions are part of human nature, okay? And any person who has studied leadership psychology knows that emotions are part of our happiness or taste of life, especially when life is tasteless, there is not much to enjoy. Then we sometimes go looking for some kind of emotion to feel ourselves alive. You know, this is fourth regulative principle, like those who go to see a football match. Why they go to see a football? Because they need emotions. Oh, this is winning. Oh, this is losing. Oh, he did this. Oh, he did that. You know, because you need something in our lives to make it count, to make our time count. All this is totally useless. There is no use, because emotions will not help you. Will not help your friend. Will not help your daughter. Will not help you. Will not help you. It's just one of the many useless things in life that does not get you anywhere. It's just something that unconsciously, it's not that you think it this way, but unconsciously you need it to feel alive, because if not that, what I'm going to enjoy in life. I'm not referring specifically to you, I'm talking about a general analysis of human psychology, you know. So just like it's so useless to see a football match, or useless to see I don't know, a poker. I don't know. I never did all these things, you know. But because we need something in life. So if knowledge of eternity of soul, if knowledge of what happened, for instance, you corrected two of my Mahabharatas, so you know the story very well. You know the story of the sons of Shantanu and Ganga. You remember the story. You have corrected it, so you must have studied very well. So how do you know that this friend of yours was some some bandit in a past life, and she did something very simple, and she deserved to have died in a certain way? Or how do you know that finally she ended this life because she earned a better life? Why you want to keep a person miserable in this life when it's time for this person to go in a better place? So we had two possibilities: that this person is sinful, so she deserved to die at this moment, or she deserved a better life, and you want to keep her here. So living in this way of ignorance of the mechanism of nature is the reason why we suffer. We keep ignoring the reality. We keep ignoring that just like your friend died, you are going to die. Your daughters, your sons, your husband, your friend, your guru, I am going to die. Everyone is going to die. So why are you not thinking, not preparing yourself for the inevitable? Okay, and you just suffer for something that you had to know that will have happened. You knew that it would happen. So this is not the wise way to live a life. We should be wise. We should be intelligent. We should be full of knowledge so that we can keep equipoise in front of anything bad happened and good happened. Having said that, I am not saying that the Vaishnava is without emotions. I'm not saying that. Okay. On the contrary, you can read many songs by Vaishnava acharyas crying and crying because one great Vaishnava friend died and left his body. But if you study the songs, you see that they are crying for something very different. While you are crying without knowing what happened to your friend in the past life, in this life, and the next life, they are crying. Why? Because they liked to be with such a pure souls. They wanted to be with them, and now they are deprived. They went, okay? But they are in full knowledge. They know where they went. They know that it's just a question of time, and they will unite again. But two materialistic persons who separate in this life, maybe they will never see it again. You never recognize. Maybe, she is already born, and she's the daughter or son of your neighbor. They are not going even to recognize her. So to conclude, otherwise it's becoming too long, that we should live with knowledge, and we should use this knowledge, not just learn it and then forget it when it comes to the point that we need to use it. Use it looking at things in the eyes of this knowledge.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay, any other question? Andy, why you are not asking me the question? I was expecting the question. You don't.
Me?
Yeah, you sent me a question.
Oh. Yeah.
And what's up? You see, I don't forget. You forget. I don't.
I do. This is why I'm a neophyte. Yeah. The question, so what is, I remember reading a little bit after where Prabhupada explains how the difference is that the jivas have consciousness and material nature is not conscious. But so if you could please, definitely explain that for me.
There are several energies And actually, you make another question. You say, what is the difference between the separated energy of Krishna and us, the jiva? Why the material nature separated, there's not connected? What does it mean? This is the question. Is that right? Anyway,
Yes.
so separated means that it's not created for the supreme use of, of the Lord. Just like you have a house and you have a restroom. Okay, a restroom is a separated place. It's not that you put your bathroom in the kitchen, you know, because it's something used for something secondary, necessary but secondary. So the material nature is meant as a place of use, and this is why it's no consciousness, because somebody who has consciousness are going to use it. It's like your warehouse. You have things there. You have the hammer, you have nails, you have, you know, you don't put hammer and nails in your bedroom, you know, that this is something that it goes there and you use them. So the material world is a place of use that we are going to use when we don't want to be with Krishna. So separated, bhinna in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit means bhinna. Bhinna is means separated, something different, because the main energy of the Lord is a spiritual energy. There is where he lives with his with the jiva. So why the jiva is different? Because the jiva is conscious. The jiva is superior energy, but it's a little different than a superior energy. Now, superior energy means he lives in the spiritual world. The jiva is spiritual, but doesn't live in the spiritual world. It's something in the middle. It's called tatastha shakti, the middle. It's not spiritual, it's spiritual. It's not superior, it's not inferior. It's made in this way so that he can use the material world. Because if he didn't make any jiva, then what's the use of the material world? Why did he make the material world if nobody goes there? Okay, so this is the difference between superior energy, medium energy, which is the jiva, us, and the material world. Does that answer to your question, or I did not understand your question?
I guess it's like the separated part, like how you did the word like separated, where like,
yeah, separated means it's not in the same place. It's separated. You see, just like you and me, we are separated. You are in some place, I'm in another place. We are not in the same place. So the spiritual world and the material world are in two different places. Okay.
but we're not in the spiritual world, but we're always connected to Krishna, even though we're not there. We're here.
We are connected in quality because we are spiritual and Krishna is spiritual. So we are connected through quality, but not personally. Okay. We are connected. You and I, we are connected. We are devotees. So we have reasons to be connected, but we are not connected. We are not connected physically because you are in a place, I am in another one. So we are connected with Krishna, and we can connect with Krishna if you are pure, but not yet physically connected because we are not pure. Just like you and I, next time I come to the preaching center, we will be again connected physically. Until then, our connection is made by the fact that we are devotees. If we were not devotees, we have no reason to talk or to see each other. So separated means two different places. Material world is not in the spiritual world, and vice versa.
Okay.
However, can the spiritual world come in the material world? Yes, it can. Krishna came, Vrindavan came, and we are living a spiritual life, so it's possible. While it's not possible, vice versa. It's not possible that the material world goes in the spiritual world, because there is no material energy. There's no reason to go to the spiritual world, because there's no reason to do anything. It's just a tool. Your hammer doesn't decide what to do. You use it. So it's not that by itself it starts hammering. You take it. So if we want to do spiritual life, we can do spiritual life in the material world, but material energy can go to the spiritual world. Something is not clear and you don't know how to express it, but you know that I will be always here to answer when you know the question.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Unless you have the question. If you have the question, we have some more time, maybe 5 minutes more.
So is it that material nature, it dies? So it's like a tool and it gradually decays and it dies, and then spiritually it's eternal, and so it can always be connected to Krishna. I'm still trying to understand like the tool part. So it's a tool, and that's why it's a separated thing from Krishna.
Okay. The difference between the spiritual world and the material world, there are many differences, but there are two differences. One thing that is the same, and okay, I will put it in another way. Material energy, the energy, and the spiritual energy, both are eternal. Okay? There's no difference because both are eternal. But the forms that the spiritual energy takes are eternal, while the forms that the material energy takes are not eternal. They decay. Okay? Your house, it's a house today. In 100 years, in 200 years, it is going to be just earth. It will go back to earth. It will not last forever. Okay? So this difference, it's very important because it tells us what is the material energy. Material energy is a tool to be used by the spiritual souls, which is us. It's not life or dynamic by itself. Not clear yet.
I feel like that is clearing things up more. I don't have another.
Okay, all right. I think that we are almost done for today. I would like to, there was another thing that I wanted. Yeah, actually, maybe tomorrow. Okay, if there is no any other question, then I think it's time to wrap it up and finish it here, and we'll see again in the, we are working on books, and we have published 15 books more, so the total of books present in our bookstore now is 70, so it's a lot of books present there. and and there are many more will come in time. And now I am working since English and Spanish, we are going a little slow. Then I'm trying to work on a book in Italian because otherwise it's not, it's like clocked, it doesn't proceed. And so you're going to see it, but you don't understand Italian. I don't know if you have noted that I'm publishing a lot of information on a special zone of Vrindavan, a special zone of Vrindavan. And I'm already 80 pages, so it's a lot. It's almost done. In Italian, with maps, each place explaining what Krishna did in that place with a map, so that if one day you go to India, you are going to very easily find this place. And so this is what I'm doing. And in English, of course, we have our Mahabharata, who is proceeding a little slowly, but is proceeding. And there is the Radha Krishna Ganodesha Deepika in Italian also. It is proceeding slowly. So this is what is happening. All right, then, yeah, maybe tomorrow we can have a meeting with Bhakti Rosario to talk a little bit about Mahabharata, and so that I can have a sense of where we are, or maybe we can talk just 5 minutes, when everybody goes and, we stay. We use this conference to continue 5 minutes that I have. So, but Andy, you are at page 500 and something.